Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Humna and I share content through my channel all about healing, art and spirituality. These are the three things I'm extremely passionate about, and I absolutely love connecting with other people who also are as equally passionate about these three topics. So if you are one of them, please leave me a comment down below or connect with me through other social media links. They're all in my description box, so you can get in touch with me. I started reading this book a few months back and I absolutely love it. It's called The Inner Life by Hazrat Inayat. If you haven't checked it out, you can go and see the previous chapters that I have read for you, and you can hear them, and do let me know again in the comments what you thought about it and if there's any insights that you received while hearing the text. We've reached the fourth chapter of this beautiful book, and it's called the Realization of the Inner Life. The principle of the one who experiences the inner life is to become all things to all men throughout his life. In every situation, in every capacity, he answers the demand of the moment. Often people think that the spiritual person must be a man which looks with sad looks, with a long face and a serious expression and a melancholy atmosphere. Really speaking, that picture is the exact contrary of the real spiritual person. In all capacities, the one who lives the inner life has to act outwardly as he ought in order to fit the occasion. He must act accordingly to the circumstances, and he must speak to everyone in his own language, standing upon the same level and yet realizing the inner life. For the knower of truth, the one who has attained spiritual knowledge and who lives the inner life, there is no occupation in life which is too difficult. As a businessman, as a professional man, as a king, a ruler, a poor man, a worldly man, as a priest or monk, in all aspects, he is different from what people know and see him. To the one who lives the inner life, the world is a stage on which he is the actor who has to act a part in which he has sometimes to be angry and sometimes loving, and in which he has to take part both in tragedy and comedy. So also the one who has realized the inner life acts constantly. And like the actor who does not feel the emotions he assumes, the spiritual man has to fill fittingly the place in which life has placed him. There he performs everything thoroughly and rightly in order to fulfill his outer mission in this life. He is a friend to the friend, a relative to his relatives. With all to whom he is outwardly related, he keeps the right relationship with thought, with consideration, and yet in his realization he is above all relationships. He is in the crowd and in the solitude at the same time. He may be very much amused, and at the same time he is very serious. He may seem very sad, and yet there is joy welling up from his heart. Therefore, the one who has realized the inner life is a mystery to everyone. No one can fathom the depth of that person except that he promises sincerity, he emits love, he commands trust, he spreads goodness, he gives an impression of God and the truth. For the man has realized the inner life, every act is his meditation. If he is walking in the street, it is his meditation. If he is working as a carpenter, as a goldsmith, or in any other trade of business, that is his meditation. It does not matter if he is looking at heaven or at earth. He is looking at the object that he worships. East or west, or north or south, upon all sides is his God. In form and principle, nothing restricts him. He may know things and yet may not speak. For if a man who lives the inner life were to speak of his experiences, it would confuse many minds. There are individuals in the world who from morning until evening have their eyes and their ears focused on every dark corner, wanting to listen or to see what they can find out, and they find out nothing. If someone were to teach some wonders, he would have a very good occupation. The whole world would seek him. But such is not the work of the self-realized man. He sees and yet does not look. If he were to look, how much he would see. There is so much to be seen by one whose every glance, wherever it is cast, breaks through every object and discovers in depths its secret. And if he were to look at things and find out their secrets and depths, where would it end, and of what interest is it to him? The inner life, therefore, is seeing all things and yet not seeing them, feeling all things and not expressing them, for they cannot be fully expressed, understanding all things and not explaining. How far can such a man explain, and how much can another understand? Each according to the capacity he has, no more. The inner life is not lived by closing the eyes. One need not close one's eyes for this world in order to live it. One can just as well open them. The exact meaning of inner life is not only to live in the body, but to live in the heart, to live in the soul. Why then does not the average man live the inner life when he too has a heart and a soul? It is because he has a heart and yet is not conscious of it. He has a soul and knows not what it is. When he lives in the captivity of the body, limited by that body, he can only feel a thing by touching it. He sees only by looking through his eyes. He hears only by hearing with ears. How much can ears hear and eyes really see? All this experience obtained by the outer senses is limited. When man lives in this limitation, he does not know that another part of his being exists, which is much more higher, more wonderful, more living, and more exalted. Once he begins to know this, then the body becomes his tool, for he lives in his heart. And then later he passes on and lives in his soul. He experiences life independently of his body, and that is called the inner life. Once man has experienced the inner life, the fear of death has expired, for he knows death comes to the body, not to his inner being. When once he begins to realize life in his heart and in his soul, then he looks upon his body as a coat. If the coat is old, he puts it away and takes a new one, for his being does not depend upon his coat. The fear of death lasts only so long as man has not realized that his real being does not depend upon his body. Therefore, the joy of the one who experiences the inner life is beyond comparison, greater than that of the average man living only as a captive in his mortal body. Yet the inner life does not necessitate man's adopting a certain way of living, or living an aesthetic or religious life. Whatever his outer occupation be, it does not matter. The man who lives the inner life lives it through all. Man always looks for a spiritual person in a religious person, or perhaps in what he calls a good person or is someone with philosophical mind. But that is not necessarily the case. A person may be religious, even philosophical. A person may be religious or good, and yet he may not live the inner life. There is no distinct outward appearance which can prove a person to be living the inner life except one thing. When a child grows towards youth, you can see in the expression of that child a light beaming out, a certain new consciousness arising, a new knowledge coming, which the child has not known before. That is the sign of youth. Yet the child does not say so. He cannot say it. Even if he wanted to, he cannot explain it. And yet you can see it from every moment that the child makes. And yet you can see it from every movement that the child makes. For his every expression, you can find that he is realizing life now. So it is with the soul, when the soul begins to realize the life above and beyond this life, it begins to show. And although the man who realizes this may refrain from purposely showing it, yet from his expression, his movement, his glance, his voice, from every action he does and from every attitude, the wise can grasp, the others can feel that is conscious of some mystery. Feel that he is conscious of some mystery. The inner life is a birth of the soul. As Christ said that unless the soul is born again, it cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, the realization of the inner life is entering the kingdom of heaven. And when this consciousness comes to the human being, it shows itself as a new birth. And with this new birth, there comes the assurance of an everlasting life. What I truly hear from this chapter is that when we start looking at ourselves from what the Creator has made us, the soul, the body, the heart, the mind, we come from the heavens and going to return back there. So the soul is eternal, for it comes from there. The body, the coat, gets left behind here. So we need to value the body, of course, but so do we need to get in touch with our soul. For when we connect to our soul, we suddenly start living life on this planet, on this earth, as it is heaven. Because you get guided by light, you get connected to the oneness of this universe. You realize that everything speaks. Everything speaks when you are willing to listen. When you are still, when you are present, when you are here, you are always with God. There are so many times we get pulled back and we get pulled forwards. The trick for the person who wants to experience an inner life is to be here, in the now, in gratitude, in the presence of the Creator. I really hope you enjoyed this chapter. I'll be sharing the next one soon. I'm sending you lots of love, light, and peace, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. And if you'd like to get in touch, connect with me, or join my art sessions, which are run online, you're most welcome to send me a message. My Patreon link is also given below. You can join my classes, try out the free ones, see how you feel. If you feel my energy resonates with you, I'd love to welcome you to my sessions. All my sessions are about self-expression, healing, connecting to the divinity within, and expressing your truth. Sending you love, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. Allah Hafiz. Bye for now.